Tonight live, COCW's CannaCorner with Candis Dyer.
Hey everyone, what's up? Sorry, we had a little issue trying to upload to Facebook Live today, but we are streaming live now from the Walk for Change YouTube. So y'all please pass it on so we can get the message out there. We are brought to you live from Coffee Party USA Radio, of course, and the Human Solution International, as well as I Take Liberty with My Coffee, and of course, COCW. And we all represent the Walk for Change. We are trying to unite everybody to walk all the way across America starting in June 2020, and going to Washington, D.C. Stay tuned for everything on that. We are still planning on doing this walk, but we will be following the guidelines, of course, because of the coronavirus and everything going on right now. I do have a couple things to speak about before we get our guests on. We got a really special guest today. I'm excited to have him. His name is Charles Vargas. He is with Apache Nation. He's got his hands in all sorts of things, so I'll wait for him to be able to talk to y'all and let y'all know what it is he does. But for the time being, I wanted to go ahead and let y'all know we are going to be doing the Texas CannaFest, COCW CannaFest this year. We will be doing it the same place we've done it the past 2 times, which is Crystal Beach, Texas. Same barrel marker, same everything. Labor Day weekend, of course, it's going to be the 5th and the 6th of September, those 2 days. So last couple years, man, it's been awesome. We had a blast at CannaFest. There's a bunch of people out there. We're able to educate a whole lot of people. And we got a lot of great musicians and stuff already lined up for it. I know Nico Cashin, Mr. Matthew, Pharaoh, Low Fuzz, some of our old ones that have always come are coming back. And of course, we are always looking for more musical guests, more speakers. We're taking comedians, whatever it is that you might be able to do and you're interested in joining our lineup for our 2020 Texas CannaFest, then y'all can hit us up at the 420 Open Carry Walks at gmail.com and let us know that you would like to participate. Either that, or you can look us up on Cannabis Open Carry Walks on Facebook, 420 Open Carry on Instagram, and message any of those places and we will try to get you on the lineup. We are also taking vendors. We're waiting a couple months to try to wait and see if we're going to be doing the beach house or if we're just going to be doing like a camping out again. Depending on this virus and where it goes, it's going to make the difference on that. Vendors for 2 days from noon to 10, 11 o'clock ish on the beach is $100. So that's pretty good. $50 a day for vendors to come out and hang out with us. And we just have an awesome time. It's a great weekend. So I hope all of y'all can join us. Like I said, if you are wanting to get involved, message those places. Here's our buttons from the first year we had it and our bracelets. So it's just a really fun time and everybody always expects us. The cops are wonderful out there. They thanked us the first year saying that we cleaned up the beach and we didn't have no complaints the second year. So, I mean, it's just a really good place to go hang out, cannabis friendly, nice, fun time. So y'all, it's also family, very family oriented. So bring the kids and everything. It's just a blast. So now that I got that talked about, I wanted to let y'all know that we are now joining up in partnership with the Come and Toke It. So comeandtokeit.com, y'all. They came to us and they have a brand, the Come and Toke It brand. Here's one of their shirts. And they wanted help with getting their brand out. And since COCW has flown the Come and Toke It flag forever now, we said, hell yeah, we love that slogan. and we would love to get involved with y'all. So we are now selling the come and toke it merch at our walks, y'all. They got these lighters. They have the little, I don't know if y'all can see that. They're good with pipes. So we've got stickers, we've got shirts, we've got all different kinds of colors. So we are joining up with them. They are, we're helping them with their product, and they are donating a big portion of that to COCW for helping them. So we are proud to be joining up with such a great team, and y'all look for their merchandise now at all the COCW walks. And I will be letting you know their website as soon as it gets finished. They are working on it right now. They've gone in partnerships with several people. So when they build their website, you'll be able to see all the partners that are getting involved with them. But heck yeah. So I wanted to let y'all know that. I think that was it. So I guess we can go ahead and move on to our guest. Bobby, has he called in yet, or? Charles Vargas, everybody. Hey, Charles, how are you doing? Can you hear me? There you are. How are you doing, sir? Might be having trouble with the, I can't hear you. Maybe you're not on mute. It doesn't say you're on mute. Hold on one second. We got it. No sound. No sound.
He needs to turn his mic on.
Oh, can you turn your mic on? Do you know how to do that? Touch the screen, and at the bottom, it has a little sound thing right there. Oh, you're connecting audio. It's working.
I'm sorry.
No,
Okay,
you're
I got
good.
it. I got it.
You're all good. No worries. We're all learning here.
Yeah. So let me get my light adjusted too, so you're not seeing a glare. You still got a glare, huh?
Yeah, a little bit of a glare.
Yeah. So are we live?
Yes, sir. We are live on YouTube on Walk for Change YouTube right now.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So how you doing, Candis?
Doing great. Doing great. I know I spoke with you for a while today. I wanted to go ahead and get you to introduce. I know you got your hands in all different kinds of projects right now. You're doing fantastic job spreading the word. I wanted to give you a chance to introduce you to our crowd of people. What is it exactly that you do, and who is Charles Vargas?
Well, Charles is just some guy that's just been working away and loves his people, loves his family, loves his country, loves people all around, and basically was asked to do some work on behalf of community. And then it keeps kind of growing out, but it's not really me, it's everyone.
Right.
So it's everyone working together. And in some ways, I guess I speak in a spokesperson kind of manner, but it's really the people. It's really the people's movement, if you would. And there is a movement for change that has been growing and growing, as we all know. And especially in Indian country, there's a lot of subjects that people just don't know about.
Right.
Many people think that we don't exist anymore, which is understood because we're all cheated from history. So
right.
This is a good opportunity for us to all get back together, get to know each other, and really kind of fulfills my purpose, which was to bridge a gap. So we started some time ago, and it started with the internet, and that taught us a lot, you know, that sharing knowledge is very powerful for everybody. And so
the Water is Life movement as well, right?
That's
where I started, so I thought that was awesome. That's how I started my activism.
Oh, that's cool. It's very much similar to our theology. We have a creation story, and so our origins are a child born of water. And so just the name itself, child born of water, all children are born of water.
Right.
And it's really explicit in the meaning that water is life. So that's really cool. Our work has been broad, but communal, but also business oriented. So I could say that.
Right.
And we're making some strides to expand our land base. So we're out here in California, and we're working near the Palo Reservation and Palma, and establishing a native community, but really more of a community of people that are all like-minded. And so I wouldn't call it just native. It's in a way, a native way. And so we call it the pollen way, but it's basically the plant way, water, where it's a water theology, which again gets back to water is life, because you need water for plants, for humans, for animals, for everything, even for rocks.
Right.
Look at opal. Without water, we wouldn't have opal. And so hydrothermal, which is water, heated water vents in volcanics, create quartz crystals. So they have super enriched mineral solutions that boil and percolate, and they create, that's where crystals grow from. So amethyst, quartz, citrine, all of those things come from hot water. So water, crystals are born of water as well. Not all, but many.
Right. No, that's very interesting. That's I never thought of that, but you're right. They are.
Yeah, and we eat rocks when you think about it. I mean, you need salt, there's rock salt, and then there's calcium, and there's iron, and there's all these minerals that we have to ingest. So we're actually ingesting rocks, and it's our body system that digests them with our stomach acids, which is really hydrochloric acid. And that breaks down your components into your minerals that your body can absorb. And that's where natural medicines really do well, because it has to do with the absorption. Many of the components in rocks and shells are very much like iron. And so if you took a big iron and you crushed it up and you ate it, your body would absorb so much iron. But if you got the iron from a plant that was rich in iron, it would be more soluble, and so your body would absorb it more.
Right.
And so that's the difference between the two. And many of our pharmaceuticals and commercial or synthetic minerals are made from substances that aren't so easy for the body to take up.
And not absorbable.
Right. And so natural medicines are more inclined for the body without processing it. They're just naturally that way. For us to be gain nutritional value, gain benefit from them. And that's probably the easiest way to look at it. Something natural will work naturally better in your body than something that was created, especially when it's motivated for profit. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, since we're talking about crystals and everything, I wanted to let everybody know that Apache Nation is the ones who are donating the stone for the staff that's going across the Walk for Change route. I just think that's amazing. When you first told me that, I literally got a picture in my head of Moses and the staff and just slamming it down and parting that water. And I can just see that this is going to lead the way for major change. And
absolutely. Actually, you're pictured very, very close. It's a crystal mountain. So we're actually ascending a mountain to recover the crystal, which would ultimately come back down and become affixed to that staff. And that staff has a lot of meaning. It's
let's talk about that a little bit for the people who don't know. What is the meaning of the staff for the indigenous community? What are the meanings behind it?
Well, for a number of reasons, it's symbolic, for one. So it's something that precedes the line, or when they're carrying a staff or an object, it's ahead of you. So it leads everything. And in a sense, it's like carrying a flag or a banner. Although it's a bit more embellished, and symbolically, the flag is very much the same. It has an eagle sometimes at the top, And that came from also Native America in some cases. It's also global in many cases, where the eagle is perceived as one of the strongest,
Right.
birds and flies the highest. And so there's a lot of respect for eagles on every continent. And therefore there are eagle staffs, and those are a different subject. Ours is a staff that's representing the people as I'm envisioning that's what it would be. It's really the medicine man that takes care of it, but we can help explain it. And so as they create this staff, it's a flag of unity, of meaning, of how it's assembled. Each part of it, piece of it is symbolic. The staff itself is wooden, and so it represents the plant nation. And the crystal that's affixed at the top, which most people don't know, but there's usually a crystal if it's native heritage or other heritages. There'll be a combination of elements that come together. And if you can think about it like a combination lock, where you have to put in 5, then you go back to 13, and then you go back the other way to 14 or 30. And so you need a sequence to be able to unlock the lock. Well,
Right.
when you assemble elements, you're putting the plant, the stones, and animal. In some cases, there's feathers and whatnot, right? So the staff itself is an object that symbolizes all of the elemental entities in creation, and you're bringing them all together. And so it's an acknowledgement of nature, and that's where it becomes really powerful.
Wow.
So it really does begin with the intent, the prayers that are there,
Right.
and understanding those symbologies and how to work with those things. And that's where the medicine person would be the person that handles and assembles the staff. And every aspect of it is fundamental, but also critical to how it performs and what it does, in its evolution.
Right.
So it's like that.
That's awesome. Very powerful, especially
Yeah.
with prayers backing it up. Everybody knows that our voices have more power than we know.
Right.
When you
Yes.
speak out that something is gonna happen, and that something just by the medicine man speaking words of life into that staff, and the fact that
Correct.
gonna make the way for the walk and make people listen, make eyes open, make ears open.
It softens the hearts and minds of people so that they could be, the message could be heard. And really, those are prayers or condentations that are carried with throughout the whole process. And in the end, when you finally get there, it's going to be an overwhelming unity of people's power, because everyone has power. Everyone carries something with them. So it's how you use it, what you do with it. That's what's important. Yeah.
Hell yeah, I love that. I love that. Another thing that you are working on, we'll go ahead and move off from there, is the Agent Orange Apache project. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's unfortunate, but for us in San Carlos, our lives are entwined around this issue of Agent Orange. And really, it's been a veterans issue up until we're now starting to understand it's everyone's issue.
Yeah, that's what I was just
these chemicals
about today, was the fact that most people don't think of Agent Orange as something that happened over there overseas, and that soldiers are getting it. But most people don't realize that our land was infected.
Correct. Well, it's continuing to be affected because those chemical compounds have been altered slightly, but they're fundamentally still man-made. They're fundamentally still at issue with, we don't really know what these chemicals do in the long run. There can be these reports and studies that support that there's no harm, but in reality, and this comes from biochemists, we don't know what it's going to do in 100 years or 200 years. We don't really know what it does to people's bodies. So these chemical compounds were created from the era of World War I, because you have to consider, how did all this chemistry start? It started out of chemical warfare. And so your chemicals today that you find in your hardware store, your automotive store, lubricants, solvents, pesticides, herbicides, these all come from chlorinated isotopes. And so this chemistry began with warfare, and as a way of combating German chemical war weaponry, Europe, Britain specifically contracted with the United States private corporations to develop Agent Orange and provided the formula to those companies. Dow Chemical, Monsanto, now Bayer, and others, many others, produce these chemicals as weaponry for the Vietnam War. And so the largest body of affected people that could be heard, because Vietnam citizens or foreign nationals, they're silenced in the fact that there was a war there, and that they've not, no one's been able to take this to a court status that's appropriate to address the issue because of the corporations' overwhelming influence on the federal government and the court system. And so it's a very complex matter of politics and a big corporation, world, global, international business, who've manipulated the whole world, not just the United States, but smaller countries, Brazil, South America, all over, spray everything from what they used to call as paraquat to herbicides to deforest the rainforest for farming and vegetation. And how ironic that you would use a chemical poison to clear a space where you're going to grow anything, because whatever's grown there is contaminated. Now that we're finding out. So dioxins have contaminated our food system. We all ingest them through the eggs, the milk, the meat that we buy. And these are the pesticides and herbicides that the corporations have promoted not only to the federal government, but private sectors throughout the world. Africa has herbicide issues, every continent does. And that's where you see cancer has become a common illness. It used to be a rare thing, not anymore. That's because we're a chemical society. We rely upon chemicals. Open up your cabinet and look at the bottles. We wonder why we're ill and why our children have birth defects, why they have health issues. And I'm telling you, if we all came from a perfect genome, there's no such thing as a natural mutation or a natural birth defect. There's nothing natural about it. And so these things are cause and effect of what we've allowed into our bodies, into our environment, what we accept as something that's not harmful when it actually is. And so we have to be very careful what chemistry has to offer based on one thing. It's not
so lied to and used, like they were told these things are safe for them, it's okay, and you're told it time and time, but they're not. And the government has been lying, saying that things are okay because of money. Money is the root of all of it. They want things to last longer. They store it longer, you know what I mean? And
well, yeah, it appears like it is only strictly money, but there are circumstances where people were lied to, they didn't really know, and other circumstances that all of us are probably could never fathom. There may have been national security issues. There may have been circumstances where they didn't have a choice. So without really knowing what those circumstances were, it's really hard to gauge. However, yes, motivation has been profiteering, clearly with the government contracts, and also with the history of avoiding liability. There's been an active effort to keep Vietnam citizens from world courts and the veterans from receiving the justice and the health care that they actually very much deserve and need. My
stepdad actually just received an okay for his check. His heart has been messed up by the Agent Orange shit whenever he was in the Navy over there, and they didn't want to give it to anybody. And now they're just saying that it's part of his illness. Like they're not admitting that it's all of it. They're giving him part of that check. It's only part of your illness. It's like,
that's ridiculous.
He's happy with anything at this point, but it's ridiculous. You're right. It's like they buy you at the smallest amount they can get. They know you're going to take it because you're poor.
Right. No, you're spot on. Navy and Air Force both have had difficulty in proving exposure because they were the transport. Air Force broke through first because they were the ones that, by aerial aerosol, they sprayed it. So that was very clear. Airships were contaminated. Oddly enough, those air transports, I think there were C-123 and 4, those were retired to Tucson, Arizona. So contaminated aircraft came back to Arizona.
Wow.
Mind you, this is only 100 miles south of where they tested and developed Agent Orange. So Agent Orange in its early day, before it was known as Agent Orange, was known as Silvex. Silvex is a far more toxic, deadly compound than Agent Orange, purple, black, white, green. There's a whole rainbow spectrum of defoliants, and that are all very dangerous. Various parts per million. It's really not million per billion. It's not even per billion. It's per quadrillion.
Wow.
Is how they measure for it, because of how toxic this is. It's the deadliest known man-made chemical on the planet. And it's got the half-life of plutonium in certain circumstances that it's released in nature and becomes bonded with organic matter. And that's clay, soil, plant life, animals. It's a persistent organic pollutant, a POP, and it enters the food chain system. Absolutely. And
Wow.
that's where
That
not only
cannabis,
we.
sorry, we know that
No, go ahead.
can clean out the soil. Has it been proven that it's helping with the Agent Orange situation?
No, not at all. Chemists not only created the problem, they don't know how to solve it. So you can't create a chemical compound and then invent another one to go out and solve that one.
Sorry,
Why?
I mean,
Well, go ahead.
I mean cannabis, not chemist.
Okay.
Have they studied cannabis in the Agent Orange aspect, and if it's helping to clean that soil up?
Yes, it's phytoremediation, the Latin term, or I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. But it's basically taking plants to remediate toxins by certain known plants like cannabis, grasses, it's really plants that have roots that have a lot of foliage to them for the chlorination process and all. And so they pull up toxins. But the thing is that they're just stored in the plant. And so you transfer them from the soil to the plant. Now, what do you do with them? Now they're toxic in their in their existence. So you can't burn it, you can't bury it, you can't give it to somebody else, because that's transporting a nightmare. But what you can do is grind it up and grow with mycelium mushrooms. And mushrooms have an extraordinary ability to decontaminate toxins. They use them in Chernobyl. They use them to clean up oil slicks. And so they create enzymes and certain chemistry that they can adapt to any toxin. And they actually digest and metabolize the toxin and break it down to its constituent components like inert oxygen. And so they take the toxicity out of it. And so you grow the cannabis, you capture the toxin, you turn that into a meal, a ground up environment that the mushrooms can thrive on.
Right.
And you put them into that environment and they digest the toxin into inert minerals. At that point, you take those mushrooms, and you certainly don't eat them, ingest them, or use them as medicine. You turn them into the soil and you create more fertilizer.
Gotcha.
And so the plants can help digest the toxins and turn it back into soil, exactly like what you're saying.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, but what you said at first is actually very much the truth. Biochemists wanted to develop a new chemical. And so we were dealing with one biochemist, which I
get you.
Name nameless, that was really wanting to develop a polymer or some type of chemical that would go out in nature and remove the dioxin, when it was the same biochemist that said, well, there's not enough time that has passed for us to understand what Agent Orange is. So, two wrongs don't make a right. Yeah, or two, or maybe it's not that strong. Maybe it's two unknowns don't equate to a solution. And so we have to work from something that we do know. And we do know that cannabis does detoxify. We do know that mushrooms can digest the toxin. And so nature has the solutions if we're patient enough to use them. No, it's not a one solution, one kills all, but it's a process, and it'll take
Right.
decades on
Oh,
a
yeah.
property to fully decontaminate. So
It took a long
maybe
time to
that's
get it that way. It's definitely gonna take a long time getting it back to where it was, if ever. It,
Well, let's look at it like a relationship. You know, if you get married, you don't get married for a year.
right.
Yeah, it's forever. And
Yep.
so if we have a relationship with Earth and we're nurturing her back, well, that's a long-term relationship and it's a commitment. And so do we care about the Earth enough to have a relationship? Yeah, I think so.
Yes, definitely. It's gonna be what takes our kids are gonna have to live with it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
If
our
we don't,
grandkids, like generations, and we've
if
got to
we
get it
don't
cleaned up for them.
if we don't fix this problem, it's exactly what you're saying. To your point, we're passing the problem on to them, and we're making them figure it out. And I don't think we should be so
Okay with that.
lazy. So at
I'm
San
not
Carlos, we've taken it.
handing
Oh yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. I'm a
created,
father too.
right?
I'm a father too, and I'm worried about my children and my grandchildren.
Right.
And so we as San Carlos have to take the responsibility of saying, we'll clean it up. The federal government doesn't want to deal with it, fine.
Right.
Military, Department of Defense, even though it was a classified program that no one knew about, that our tribal government had signed a non-disclosure and are paid for their silence. I'm sorry about all that, but we have grandchildren, and so it's our land and we're going to clean it up.
Right.
And that's where we became a nation, by accepting that responsibility. Let's put it that way. It's also a point that we could say, well, we no longer have trust in the BIA, Bureau of Indian Affairs, to manage our property. Look what they did to it.
Exactly.
Poisoned it. Yeah, and they're not admitting to it. They're not cleaning it up. EPA is finally getting there, and it is qualified as a Superfund site, but it's not on the designated Superfund site. It's not a priority. And
Right.
so it takes outcry from not only our community, but from everybody in America. US citizens ought to be saying, why aren't we cleaning up our Superfund sites?
Yeah.
San
Yep.
Carlos is one. It's poisoned Southern Arizona. It's poisoned Phoenix, Tucson. Arizona's got the highest cancer rate. I wonder why.
Wow.
It has to do with the Agent Orange testing in San Carlos. And I'm not going to say that without responsibility or proof. Downriver from us, San Carlos is on the Gila River. They sprayed all of our waterways, and quite possibly the arsenal of the US military stockpile of Agent Orange came to San Carlos. And it could be millions and millions and millions and millions of barrels. We just don't know. 55-gallon drums. If those indeed have leaked out, then it makes sense that on the Gila River, not more than 100 miles away, on the same river, the Salt River and Gila, are the Gila River Indian Community, the Salt River Indian Community downstream from San Carlos and from White River. Those two reservations together are 4 million acres, and they were defoliated.
Oh my
All
God.
of the waterways are the headwaters of the drinking water of Arizona. So that dioxin went to Phoenix, it went to Tucson, and ultimately got dumped into the Gulf of Mexico, the Sea of Cortez, and the Texas Gulf, both, because our drainage goes into the Rio Grande that ultimately goes into Texas, into the
Right.
ocean.
It affects
And on the west side, it goes into the Colorado River. So the Sea of Cortez is dying from the top of the sea down. They don't know why. We know why.
Yeah.
The chemical has traveled more than 300 miles, and the Gulf of the Sea of Cortez is only 255 miles from San Carlos, 270 miles, sorry. So, you know, it just takes a little bit of math.
Great.
It's been 70 years. Those barrels lost containment a long time ago. Those were
Right.
iron drums that were buried in the soil. And so I think that the statistics are there to substantiate everything I've said.
Oh, I
Quite
bet.
honestly.
I
The Salt
bet.
River and Gila River have 99% diabetes rate, 99%. And so they said, well, it's because these communities are next to Phoenix and they go to McDonald's. Well, I'll tell you what, the Navajo Nation, Mohawk, Iroquois, and the Lakota have been eating McDonald's hamburgers since Columbus arrived, and they don't have 99% diabetes rate. So
Right.
how is that good science?
It's
It's a
not. They
falsehood.
just
It's
passing the
not.
buck on to other people is what it is. And
Yeah, yeah. So sorry to talk about this. It is related to cannabis because
no,
that
no,
is a solution. Yes.
I definitely wanted to speak about this because, like I said, a lot of people, and we deal with veterans' rights, of course, because cannabis helps with a PTSD, as you know.
Oh, absolutely.
So a lot of people know about the Agent Orange and the veterans and how they were affected, but they don't realize that that stuff was made, grown, or made here and dug and put down in our environment. Like those,
Right.
and I wanted people to know about that because that's something that we need to change. Like,
Oh,
God,
oh yeah. I mean, Mississippi River carries all the pesticides into the Gulf there. And in Arkansas, or early on, it wasn't just San Carlos, all the federal campuses on military bases, they were sprayed. They had to keep the weeds and the foliage down. And they were spraying rice fields in Arkansas with Agent Orange,
oh my
with
God.
cellbans. Oh yeah, they're permanently contaminated. I don't have an exact site, but these are private properties that they were testing and developing on,
Wow.
and they're just as contaminated as San Carlos. So
Yeah,
we
they
have a
tell us about that. So it's our job to let people know, this is what's going on, and
right.
because they ain't gonna say it, they ain't gonna tell people.
No, they're not. It's something that they want to keep tight because of the liability. So
Right. Well, I don't mind speaking out about it. I've already
um,
got a target on my back due to cannabis. So
I'm also I'm also on a property where it says I dig gems, or I dig
yes,
crystal. Yeah.
I
So
saw the pictures of the crystal. The pretty purple's my favorite color, and you sent me that
yeah,
purple. I was like, man, that's so beautiful. What is the name of
we're
that?
hoping. That's spodumene, kunzite. Variety is kunzite. The variety is the color and the form, and spodumene is the mineral. And so it was identified by a Dr. Coons, who was basically from the Mineral Club from New York City. And so morganite was also identified out here from the famous J.P. Morgan, the banker,
Right.
who we happen to be engaging right now on the subject of working with the bank for the properties that we're looking at.
Right.
We're looking to create a communal base for our people, but all people, that we can promote natural plants. This whole thing with this criminalization of a medicine plant that we have known since time of creation for hundreds of thousands of years. In the context of Western science and Western society, tens of thousands of years, but it's really hundreds because we have it recorded.
Right.
And in no time in our history, which is far longer and greater than the country America, this is a few hundred years, where we're talking thousands of years, we've learned that these plants are natural healing plants. That's why the peyote plant's protected. And
Right.
so the alkaloids, as it was explained to me, are the active ingredients from plants that actually are therapeutic or stimulate in some way. And so there are the three alkaloids that are part of the medicine wheel, which are peyote, cannabis, and mushrooms. And
Right.
those complete the medicine wheel that you need with all these other vitamins, like we were talking about, calcium, iron. They're nutritional, and so are these. And
And you
so,
said it just then. You
yeah,
said vitamins, and that is exactly what cannabis is. It is the fact that they took it
it's
away and we had been given it. It's a vitamin deficiency for
it's
everybody
a
because
it's a vitamin. It's a nutritional deficiency. So they're plant fats, and they name them THC and CBD. You know what? That's a foreign language. We don't know it as that. We know it as nutritional.
right.
And so, natural plant medicines, preventative medicine, and you don't treat cancer after you get it. You treat it before you get
Exactly.
it.
It makes no
And
sense that they're
so,
telling people in Texas that they have to be dying of it to be able to
right.
use. That's ridiculous. It's curing.
Well, it's good that you mentioned that, because there are formulas for both. It's both preventative, and actually, if you do get into that stage 4 where it's life or death, it can actually save your life.
Yes.
It has to be made and prescribed in the right manner,
Yeah, the
meaning that
written.
it's purified and it's put into a specific form for that person's use. And then it's really the practitioner and that person, and
Right.
how that relationship exists. I'll just put it like that. And
I
that's very
personally
intimate. That's a
spoke with
life
many
and death
people
thing.
that were facing stage 4 issues, and they
Right.
were healed from it by the RSI
Yeah,
and high amounts of it.
absolutely. Absolutely. From stage 4 brain cancer to pancreatic cancers to just life-threatening where there is no Western solution,
Right.
that they're told they only have so much time, and then they turn around and they live and they survive.
Yep.
So cannabis absolutely shrinks tumors. And I'm talking about the whole plant.
Right.
And I'm not going to talk about the compounds because it's the nutritional value that actually kills cancer. It's the nutritional value that keeps you healthy from cancer. And so we look at these things as food. So food, it's an edible food. Can you eat it? Yes. It happens to be that you can smoke it. It happens to be that a few people have abused it, but that doesn't mean that's what it is. The
Right.
reality of what it is more what it's done over thousands of years. And that is that it's known as a medicine plant, simply put. So we're stepping forward to protect the plant. It's not a question of criminality. It's a question of nutrition and medicine. And that's it. So
Exactly.
Apache Nation protects that plant as a natural medicine plant. And we have all the proof for to go wherever we need to make sure that that's known worldwide. And that's why I'm here. So
Heck
to
yeah.
help speak about these things.
That's amazing. I love that it's a plant. It, you know, because it's a plant. It's a nutrition. It's the
Yeah,
fact that they've made it illegal and criminal is just ridiculous. Like it's never hurt
uh,
anybody.
it's been growing in ditches since everybody got here.
The
So how
only
could that be
reason
a
for
threat?
them, yeah,
Yeah.
to do that is number one, it's curing what they want people to have, which is cancer in my book. They're trying to kill us off, basically. They want us.
You know, what's criminal is flying cocaine into the country to trade for arms with Iran and things like that. That's what the criminality is, not a young person or an old person growing a medicine plant in their yard to take care of themselves. No different than a tomato plant, no different than chili plants.
Right.
You know, if you're gonna regulate these fats, then guess what? Chocolate has CBD, coffee has CBD, so
Right.
does tea, so does most of any stimulant that you have out there. Are you going to legalize all of that? What about tobacco? What
Right.
about all these other things? So I think they went too far because it's irrational. You cannot regulate a natural compound that is prolific throughout the food system, period. It's not rational. So their point is mute and their criminality is going nowhere. It's a political subject that has to do with controlling people.
And greed.
That's
And
the only thing that I can
controlling
really.
people, keeping numbers down. They want to keep us, you know, keep people sick and keep people spending money to save their lives because they make a lot of money off the cancer, the Susan B Foundation or whatever that is.
Well,
They're
yeah.
making millions of billions of dollars off that. And if you
Cancer's one
cannabis
thing.
feel that, then they lose that.
Well, it's one thing in Western or a capitalistic society. It's big business. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah. Cancer is a business. It's not there to heal. And there's a lot of natural solutions for many of our concerns and issues, even the COVID-19, but they'll never see the light of day based off politics. So we know ourselves it's a virus, and yes, people are going to perish, but you know, if you look at everything else, people are perishing for many, many things.
Oh yeah.
And one thing that really exposes it is, yeah, the COVID-19 death rate is quite whatever it is,
Right.
but you'll notice that traffic accidents and deaths by accidents on the highway have dropped.
Right.
And so comparatively, yeah, it is the biggest thing happening because no one's on the highway.
Exactly.
So
They got everybody locked down. They can't use that road. That's why
yeah, so you know, if we're all focusing and micromanaging something that really doesn't have the weight there to justify the cause and action, the cause and effect of what's happened, like crashing world economies.
everybody knows there's more to it. And yes, that's what I think. I think they want to crash our economy because they want the one world money, the one world you know what I mean? I think that's why they're doing it.
Well, there's also talk in the cannabis industry of it crashing that economy, but the reality is everyone knows it's not going to go all away. There's some of it will go away, but something that's been there that was created the same time we were created, right?
Exactly.
So it's man's recorded history as far back as when man was recording history.
Well, the
And
Bible
so,
wrote on hemp paper, and that Jesus himself used to use it in his healing oil. Like it
yeah,
was around back, and
it's anointing oil. No one would have ever sailed a ship without the hemp sails or the ropes,
right.
and China would have never traveled.
And they
So
actually still use the hemp ropes in the Navy today because it's the best fabric, and it won't diminish in the salt water like regular rope will.
it won't rot, and it doesn't oxidize like the other ones. It's actually the toughest fiber known to mankind, natural fiber. And you can pull a 22-foot strand versus cotton's 1 inch or whatever cotton ball is. So there's no comparison. The tensile strength behind cannabis has always been known as the strongest.
One thing that
Also too,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh,
No, just that China had looked at it as a male and female, and that you need both.
right.
The female's the medicine and the male is the worker. It's the textile.
Right.
So if we look at things for what they are, they have more than medicinal properties. Both have medicinal properties. Both have physical properties in different realms. One is a worker, one is a female.
Right.
One's a pollinator, one is the one who gives life. The one who gives life and what we respect are the females. They're sacred because they're the life givers of all society. Well, that's what the female flower is in cannabis. It's the life giver.
Wow.
We all like seedless, but without the seeds, you'd never have the next cannabis now, would we?
Right. Definitely. Yeah, you need both for sure. That's a good way to look at it. I've never heard it explained like that. That's
A
awesome.
different perspective helps sometimes
It
to
does.
see.
It does. And that's why we all need to get together more and join together and start talking about these things, because when you get people talking the way we've been talking today, just, you can learn from each other and you can grow, and I can teach you things you may not know, and you can teach me things. And it's like that with everybody. We all need to start getting together and talking and communicating better, because right now they're trying to separate us and divide us, and we need now.
Well, they've allowed fear. The world has allowed fear to divide us all. And let's face it, Russia, China, America, and we're all fearful. We're all human. Look at this conversation here. You're Texan, I'm Apache. It's a Texan talking to an Apache, and we can relate.
Right.
And there's many things to unite on. We're in a crisis right now. And in every crisis, there's an opportunity to take the upper road and to find what the gold lining is, the golden thread. And here's where it is. We all believe that medicine is sacred. Everybody should have access to medicine. That's actually how it used to be. That food is essential and that shelter is essential. So we've pledged to those basic conditions that we will always be here to provide food, medicine, and shelter. And that's something that we've always done then, we do it now, and we'll do it into eternity. Amen. So those people that come in and we join in that pledge, we start taking care of each other, and we tear down those walls of fear. Fear is just the unknown. It's just that. And so by removing the unknown, we conquer fear. When you've conquered fear, it only takes love to bring the whole world together into unity. Yeah.
Definitely.
Love. It's really,
if you love your brother, you love your neighbor, you're not stealing from them, you're not cheating on them, you're not doing any of those things you're not supposed to be doing to them, lying to them. If you love somebody.
Right. Well, look at stock market. Do they love each other? Well, they love to steal from each other. And it created a junk bond market and derivatives and all this.
Fake love.
Well, it's almost like the money that's printed on the paper. Yeah. But anyway, we are getting to a new normal, and it's a social normal, and it's an opportunity for all communities to unite. There's nothing more powerful than the people.
Exactly.
That they are the sovereignty of every country. The sovereignty of the individual for freedom of choice is the sovereign of any nation. It's the collective sovereign that makes that nation. And that's something that we understand in our culture. So we're here by consensus, and we chose our destiny. We decided this is what needs to happen. And so we're here making it happen.
That's awesome. I love what y'all are doing. I love the unity part of it. And the one thing we haven't talked about yet, I want to go ahead and throw this in there, is the Unity Radio Network. You want to tell
Yeah.
people a little bit about that?
Well, it's an effort that was born out of a reciprocation. Contributions that were made maybe upwards of 30 years ago were to the Apache Server Foundation, which helped create a platform for the internet. And it's a platform where all computer languages can cross communicate and become integrated. And when you do that with every computer language, you now have the internet. And so they call that Apache Server. And lo and behold, technicians from all around the world started showing up. And so they contributed back. And they said, here's a software platform that's all open source coded, that it can run on a server that can give the people a voice.
Wow.
And so we turned that into Unity Radio Networks, Unity Radio Net. And that basically is a digital radio system. It's an internet radio broadcasting system that we're now opening up and inviting everybody, coffee party, and the alternative voice to come together in unity.
Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
me and Unity, I'm down.
Absolutely.
Unite with people who are willing to get up and fight for what they believe in.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, I understand. And Apaches have always been in the mix. We help train and create the Green Berets, the Special Forces. All of those protocols we're absolutely familiar with. There are conceptions historically, not mine, but who I descend from.
Right.
And even the knowledge that we bring forward isn't ours. It's a shared knowledge. It's something that was passed down for us to continue on as caretakers. And the only way to grow that knowledge is to teach it. Because when you're teaching it, you're learning. Yeah.
You got to pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah. Yep. So that's why we're here. We'll be participating now and then we may, absolutely carry some issues to subject. But we're more in a sense here for everybody, and our work is to make sure everyone is successful. So that's what our job is.
I know it's hard to believe, but we're at almost an hour now. It feels like we've been chatting for a very short time.
Are you serious? Yeah, it's like minutes or seconds.
But man, I've had an amazing talk with you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything with everyone. I've learned so much from you today. I'm sure lots of people have learned stuff today. You're a great guy. I appreciate you very much.
You're doing an amazing job. I've looked at your work. You're an excellent host. Your work online and digital graphics is exceptional. So you have an eye for these things, and you're intelligent, and your heart is amazing. So thank you for welcoming us into the group, and for the work you do with Joe. That is Joe needs all that support from good people. And let's unite. It's one voice, one people, one humanity. Let's make it right. Let's make it right.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Charles. I will
You're
be
welcome.
talking to you later, I'm sure. He's a
anytime
amazing guy. He's helping us with the Walk for Change as well. So
thank you for your kind words. I think it's a call to duty and just doing my job. That's all. Nothing more.
Yes, sir.
All right.
That's how I'm the same way. It's a call of duty. It's something I have to do. It's not a choice or anything. It's just something we got to get up and we got to stand up and we got to fight for our kids. And we are one of many drops in the bucket of people who are fighting. And I appreciate all those just as much as I appreciate you.
Well, Candis, we've heard your call up and we showed up. So we're here, and it'll be a great joy to work together, and let's keep growing the family.
Yes, sir. You have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Candice. Thank you for inviting us on. Thank you for the time to
Anytime.
be heard. All right. Ciao.
Bye. Heck yeah, y'all. So that was Charles Vargas with Apache Nation. He is the great guy. He works with lots of good stuff. And I hope that y'all enjoyed our conversation tonight. I hope that y'all maybe have learned something new that you didn't know. I think that's all for tonight. I love all y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be on next Monday with Rena McCain. So y'all come join us, and I will see you at 8 o'clock next Monday. Peace.